Hi, I'm Jessica Gregory, and this is my EcoBUZZ. Who doesn't enjoy tasty fruits and veggies from time to time? Join me as we take a closer look at the process that produces these delicious results. Pollination.
Flowers are the place where pollination happens, and pollination itself refers to the transfer of pollen grains from the flower's stamen to the pistil.
When successful, this leads to the development of fruit and seeds, which of course gives rise to the next generation. We need pollination because it's an important food source for many different organisms, including humans, duh. In fact, pollination is valued at around $361 billion annually worldwide, and this only includes commercial agriculture. It doesn't account for the value of pollination services in nature. And speaking of economics, while plants can't count dollar signs, they know all about saving and spending. And when it comes to pollination, their goal is to get as much as they can while spending as little energy as possible.
That's why we see so many flowers of different shapes, sizes, and colors. But more on that later.
Since pollination is so important to a species' survival, it shouldn't be surprising that plants have adapted some pretty creative ways to attract pollinators.
They produce flowers with colors, patterns, or scents that appeal to different types of pollinators, signal their flowers to open at certain times of the day or season, produce pollen grains with varying shapes or even microscopic barbs that aid in their movement, and they may provide incentives like nectar as pollinator rewards.
Some plants even help boost the frequency of pollinator visits by slipping a little caffeine into their nectar. Sneaky. There's a lot of evidence to show that various groups of pollinators exist, and pollinators within the same group often are attracted to flowers with similar characteristics. They're called pollinator syndromes, and while there is some overlap, it's very apparent that flowers are often adapted for some pollinators over others.
For instance, bird pollinators like hummingbirds see red and yellow light, but don't have a great sense of smell, so they're most attracted to red or yellow flowers that aren't especially aromatic. They also gravitate toward flowers that are long and slender or tube-like, similar to moths and butterflies.
On the other hand, bees see yellow and blue light best, and they like nice smells, so they're most often seen visiting flowers with these characteristics.
Bees can also see ultraviolet or UV light, which is invisible to our eyes. Because of this, bee-pollinated flowers often include extra patterns called nectar guides that give exact directions on where the flower's pollen and nectar are located. Other pollinator groups include beetles, bats, and flies, but the distribution of each depends on your location.
For instance, in Michigan we have bats, but here they're insect eaters rather than pollinators. And for an example of a fly-pollinated flower in Michigan, check out the link in the video description.
Even wind is an effective pollinator. Plants that appeal to this method have small, nondescript flowers and lots of teeny tiny pollen grains that are easily airborne. Grasses and corn are great examples. Unfortunately, pollinators in the world today are in trouble, which means all of the crops that rely on them are also at risk.
Some of the biggest threats to pollination are habitat loss, pesticide use, and climate change. You can find out more about the worldwide insect apocalypse from one of my partner videos. Again, the link is included in the video description. For a more detailed status report on pollination and a list of ways you can make a difference, visit www.myecobuzz.org. Next time you take a bite of your favorite fruit, think about all of the creativity and energy that went into producing it. If you've been watching My EcoBUZZ and have enjoyed naturing with me, would you consider becoming a sponsor? Learn more at www.myecobuzz.org. Thanks for watching and for caring for our world. Happy naturing.